Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeart Radio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. Jam-packed program for you. 803-978-1832. That's the number if you want to call, if you want to get involved with the program. Well, you're always welcome to join us here on the show today. Got several things we're going to get into. Some coaching rumors and what I think about coaching rumors. We'll let you know about that in a little bit. Of course, a couple of names have been attached to the two of the biggest jobs out there with LSU and Southern Cal. We'll get into that. We'll also talk about the stuff that's come about with the stuff with Mac Brown. So, yeah, we'll get into that as well as that. Is he going to retire? So we'll get into that as well this afternoon. He kind of put the boots to that. But I got to start with Tim Brando. Why am I starting with Tim Brando? Because he came out with something that kind of makes you scratch your head a little bit. He said on a radio show about Cincinnati, he basically just blistered the CFP for their rankings right now. But he says, don't throw dirt on a schedule for Cincinnati. They'll never throw dirt on an SEC schedule. Brando said on the show, Cincinnati should be number 2. They should be number 2. They're undefeated. What you do early in the season should matter. They play a very difficult schedule within their league. SMU is a good team. Houston finally got ranked. Brando believes the playoff committee shapes the rankings to fit the narrative against teams like Cincinnati, is basically what it comes down to. And then here's the line that kind of gets you. Why do you suppose it took so long to get any of their brethren from the American Conference ranked? I'll tell you, because the committee wants to say that they don't have any wins over ranked opponents. That's why. When I see 3 lost teams out of the Big Ten ranked and no Houston and no SMU, that's code for corruption. So in his mind, he's saying that if you are a 3-loss Big Ten team, that you have no business in the rankings over a team that's has 1 or 2 losses from the American, which is kind of a weird way to look at it. But I think it comes back down to this. Why is it that everybody and their brother wants to see Cincinnati in the playoffs so bad? Why is it that people look at it and they're like, you know what? That's what's going to make the college football playoff better. We're going to have Cincinnati in the playoff, and that's going to make it better. Ladies and gentlemen, the college football playoff is fine, with or without the Bearcats. I think people like this David or Goliath type story where people are like, oh, man, it'd be great if we had someone other than insert 8 teams here. The reality is that against those 8 teams, Cincinnati wouldn't stand much of a chance. I don't like the term that he uses. That's code for corruption. Do you think that the college football playoff committee sits around and they just clap their hands and they're like, you know what? How can we screw over the American Conference today? Do you think they wake up every morning thinking that? I just find that really hard to believe. So we'll sound off on that if you want. 803-978-1832. Tom online says, no, that's code for a weak schedule. Look, the bookcase of accountability is to my right. I tweeted out a picture of it last week. We are going to have at the end of the season a look at the top 10 teams that are end up finishing in the CFP rankings after the season is over. And then we're going to have accountability as to far as who ended up playing ranked teams at the end of the season. Meaning that when you have a team that is ranked 10th in week 1, but they finish unranked at the end of the season, you didn't win over a top 10 team. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but that's just the reality. The first set of rankings aren't worth anything. Now, There will be people that, well, we played 8 teams that were in the top 25. No, you didn't. You played 4. 4 that finished. That's what matters when we talk about actual strength of schedule. Now, lots of people forget that, and they'll go on the adage of, well, they were ranked when we played them. Yeah, but those rankings weren't exactly valid. You go by what happens at the end of the season, and that's how you check out your schedule and determine if it was worthy of being considered for, hey, we had a tough schedule. So, but anyway, the bookcase of accountability, we will have that, and that will be on the at the end of the season. We'll look at some of the top teams around the country and how they finished and how many top 25 teams they actually played, because that's very important. So we'll get into that once the season gets wraps up. But let's look at the CFP rankings for last night. No real changes. Houston does get into it, so they're the second American team, AAC team, that's actually in the mix. So there's that. Now, here's some of the questions that I have, though, with the college football playoff rankings and some of the stuff that I wrote down here. What happens if Oregon and Ohio State both finish with the same record? You know, I think producer Biscuit and I talked about this. If they have the same record, Oregon gets the spot simply because of the head-to-head. Simple as that. But there's going to be some pushback around the country a little bit. But Oregon went into your place and won. That should hold some weight. So we'll see. We'll see on that. But what happens if they both finish with the same record? I think that's kind of a big deal. What needs to happen, and people are already talking about it, anybody but the Irish, Jerome online was talking about that. What needs to happen for Notre Dame to reach a semifinal? I personally don't think that there's any way that it can happen, but here's the thing. If Cincinnati had lost to Notre Dame, people would still be upset because now Notre Dame would be looking at it like, hey, we're going to go 11-0. We should be in the college football playoff. So we'll see how that works out for them. But what's going to happen for them, they need Cincinnati to lose in the AAC championship game. So they have a similar record, but I think that would be one way to go there. And they need chaos in front of them, meaning that you need X team to beat Y team, different conference champions of what's projected. A lot of things need to happen, in my opinion, for Notre Dame to even have a shot. Another conference that doesn't have a shot, though, but if we were trying to figure out who was going to be their best hope, is the Big 12. I'd have to go, their best hope of making the college football playoff has to be Oklahoma State. So with that, they're the lone beacon of hope there for the Big 12. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Speaking of Cincinnati, how do they finish in the top 4? If Oregon loses to Utah this weekend, and they're an underdog, by the way, on the road, the Bearcats will be the first team in history from a group of 5 team, be the first group of 5 team in history to crack the top 4 and in the 4th rankings of the season. So, yeah, we'll see how that works there for them, but they have to keep winning too. Another note that, and someone else actually put this out here, and I found it on Twitter, and it says, what happens if Alabama loses a close game to Georgia? And this note came up. Alabama could become the first 2-loss team to finish in the top 4, and it could happen at the undefeated Bearcats' expense. According to ESPN's All-State Playoff Predictor, there's a 70% chance a 13-0 Georgia and an 11-2 Alabama would finish in the top 4. Now, I don't know. I think that if Georgia, now we had the early line in that yesterday. Georgia's projected to be a 3-point favorite in that matchup. So with that, if Georgia wins and it's close with Alabama. Alabama's got 2 losses on the season. I think it's hard to put them in over a 1-loss Oregon. I think it's hard to put them in over a 1-loss Ohio State. Now, the idea that you could have a undefeated Cincinnati, it's a point to ponder there. So we'll have to see how that works out. But it comes down to this, too. If Alabama loses a close game to Georgia, and you've got an 11-1 Notre Dame team, a 12-0 Cincinnati team, who do you put in there? 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown, here on Fox Sports Radio 1400, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Taking your calls today on that. Tom says, nope, if Bama loses to Georgia, they won't make it. Look, I have issues with, I think you should win your conference to have the capability of being in the playoff. And I know that's something that a lot of people look at and they're like, man, that's silly. I think you should win your conference. If you're not good enough to win your conference, how can you play for the national title? Just saying. I mean, that's a fair question. Now, I know people are going to be like, man, but Alabama's good. But are you good enough to win your conference? Dr. Berto online says, I could see 2-loss Bama getting the nod. Not that he would agree. But if it comes down to that, you got 11-1 Notre Dame, undefeated Cincinnati, or 2-loss Alabama, which way do you roll? 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. And you can respond to Tim Brando. Do you think the CFP is corrupt for keeping Cincinnati out of it? Jay with a good point online. Normally, Jay just makes fun of me for being a chunky fool, but he says the committee can and will spin anything that they want. There you go with that. So, yeah, that's actually true. Megan with another good point today. He must be off the stupid today. He says, Bama didn't win their division in 2017, yet won the national title. I get that. But I still think you should win your conference. I think that's more important. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. By the way, some other notes here, how teams can get into the college football playoff. I think Georgia is the closest thing that we'll have to a lock. They've got Charleston Southern and Georgia Tech, which they should win by, 25-30 in each matchup. So, yeah, I think that they get in, and I don't think that there's a scenario if they lose the SEC championship game. Now, if they get throttled, that things could change. But if they lose by 10 points in the SEC championship game, I think that Georgia is probably still a lock there. For Alabama to do it, I think that they've got to finish 12-1 and win over Georgia in the SEC championship game, and that's the way that they'll get in. Simple as that. Win your games out. For Oregon, who currently sits at 3, I think they've got to finish 12-1, win the Pac-12 title. They do that, I'm pretty sure Oregon's in. So everything is ahead of them. Ohio State, they've got to finish 12-1. Trio of victories over top 25 competition over the next 3 weeks. And, of course, I think that will get the Buckeyes into the mix. If all that happens, they should be that way. Cincinnati, they have to, in my opinion, they're in the beauty contest right now. They can't have another game like they had with Navy, where they looked pretty decent, but they just kind of struggled to a win. I think they need to look good against SMU, and they need to handle East Carolina before they knock the silly into their opponent in the conference title game. And I also think they need Oregon or Ohio State to lose for them to have an opportunity to move up. Michigan, they got to win the Big 12 championship, which of course means that they've got to get a win over Ohio State as well and finish at 12-1. I think if they're 12-1, they should probably leap Cincinnati and secure possibly the number 4 seed in the playoff. We'll see how that works out. The Michigan State Spartans, they've got to, in my notes here, where did I put this? Oh, where did I go with it? Oh, yeah, here we go. So Michigan State, they do have quality wins over Ohio State, Penn State, and Wisconsin. But that gives them a strong case. But they did lose. And I think that for them to do it, they played with kind of a chip on their shoulder all season. I think they're going to lose beforehand. But obviously winning out and winning the Big Ten will probably get them squared away where they need to be. We mentioned Notre Dame earlier, finished 11-1. Losses by Alabama, Oregon, and Cincinnati could bring the Fighting Irish into the mix. All right, your response to all of what I've given you here about the CFP. We can take those calls at 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. Alan asks if I'm wearing a Charleston Southern hat. No, this is a hat for the it's the folks that build state parks around our state. So there you go with that. I have like a whole collection of state park hats because that's kind of what I like to do. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. Brandon says in the last decade, Alabama's won 2 national titles when they didn't win their division. And, you know, you can make an argument. People look at the A on the side of their helmet and think, okay, that's great. But if you're going to put a 2-loss Alabama team in over, I don't think anyone wants to see a 2-loss Alabama team get a spot over a 12-1 Big Ten champion or an Oregon team that wins the Pac-12 that won at Ohio State. I don't think anyone realistically thinks, okay, we should put a 2-loss Alabama team in over those 2 teams. Go tell Ohio State winning the Big Ten is not enough. Sorry. I don't think anyone really, truly agrees with that. If they do, I'd love to hear the calls on that at 803-978-1832. It's probably going to be a lot of, well, they're just Alabama. They have to be there. No. Have some good reasoning behind it. But I would love to take calls on that. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. Go out to the phones. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's up, buddy?
For once in your life, you didn't mention anything about Dan Mullen.
Well, that's because Dan Mullen is irrelevant and is going to be coaching somewhere else or on TV next year. That's why I didn't mention him.
Oh, you think so?
He is a gong show coach, sir. He's
Okay.
showing that every day.
Yeah. But listen,
Sure.
I like Oklahoma State. What they got to do to get in the playoff? They're playing good ball.
They are playing pretty good. I think you can make an argument they're the best team in the Big 12. I think if they win out, they're another team too. I mean, if they win the Big 12 championship and they have 1 loss on the year to, I think they lost to Iowa State. Iowa State ends up finishing in the rankings. So you got a loss to a ranked team. You win the conference title. You should be in the mix.
No doubt.
So we'll see how that works out. But if the problem that we end up with is that if you have you have the Big Ten champion with 1 loss, the Pac-12 with 1 loss with Oregon, and Oklahoma State with 1 loss, then where do you put a team like an Alabama or a Cincinnati or something like that? That's where it's going to get interesting.
I can tell you right now, Alabama finished with this 1 loss. Alabama going to be in the college playoff. I don't care what you say or nobody else. They will be there.
I think if they win the SEC, they'll be in. The question is, will they have 2 teams then? We'll see. Is the college football playoff going to tell a Big 5 champion with 1 loss, oh, you don't get to go, but we're going to take someone who didn't win a conference title? That's the conversation they're going to have.
If Alabama beat Georgia in the SEC championship, both of those teams going to be in the championship, in the playoff.
Are you riding that Alabama coattails now because your Gators?
No.
You want me to get you an Alabama hat? I bet if I talk to our friend Megan, he'll send you an Alabama hat.
Oh, he don't want to see Alabama.
No. Get you an Alabama hat. He'll get you the hat, and I'll get you a pair of those nice chucks with the big A on them. We can do that.
No, I think Alabama will beat Georgia.
Well, okay.
And that's a fact.
Sure.
They always have, and they always will.
Fair
it will
enough.
beat Georgia.
Okay, Hollywood. I appreciate you calling the program.
All right, no doubt.
All right, bye-bye. Hollywood has been horrible with his predictions. Hollywood's got to learn to moonwalk a little bit. I moonwalk with my stuff when I say things. I thought Jeremy Pruitt was a great coach. Boy, was I stupid. Absolutely stupid. Yeah, you can admit you're wrong. It's okay. Anyway, quick break. We come back. We'll take more of your calls as the phones light up. 803-978-1832. More of the rundown when we come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Begging Megan is correct. Yeah, being a Florida fan right now, you're right, Alan, is not very good. Clinton's having a heck of a season, but I think you guys lose to easily. Yeah, you're playing. Are you playing? Oh, you're playing Daniel. Yeah, Daniel's pretty good there, buddy. That season may end there, Brandon. Y'all, Brandon's a true fan, man. Brandon goes to every Clinton game, pretty much regardless of where they play, if I remember correctly. Brandon's on the road following his high school team every week. Some seasons they're not very good. He still goes on the road and watches. Welcome back to the rundown. Out to the phones we go. Welcome into the program.
Rob, I am one of those Georgia fans who has suffered, for, close to 40 years now since the 1980 deal. But if you're a Georgia fan like me and you're out there and you're looking for an some good positive sign that this is our year, Hollywood just predicted Alabama to beat us. So I am going to go ahead and get a national title shirt printed up.
Well,
that man has been.
Will you buy an Alabama hat for him so that he can ride those tied coattails with style? I mean, he needs one of those. It's the Atlanta Braves logo with a mullet is what they use for their A. But yeah, I think we should get him one of those, and I'll get him the shoes too, man. The Alabama shoes, the Chucks with the A on them. We should do that.
I certainly will. I'll buy him whatever he wants. I'm assuming that hat is going to be a double XL of some kind. That may be a hurl.
We can get him at a gas station for $1.50, but you know how that is.
Yeah, but no, he's literally picked Florida to win every game and Georgia to lose every game. So I'm pretty confident about our chances now of bringing home that that elusive national title.
This
So
is the most
that's
confident
great.
I've seen you be about Georgia in a while. The first time you've mentioned it on the air that you could win the entire thing. Normally, you're calling me and telling me about our secretary stubbed her toe, so we're done.
That's a bit of a reach there, Rob, but I'll let that slide. But I did want to touch on, everybody's talking about the audio from Kirby during the halftime of the Florida game. I know you didn't mention that, but I'm going to throw it out there.
Right.
I
can play it, but it's really there's a lot of language in it that's I can't put on the air, but it was very inspiring. It's the most inspiring I've heard Kirby Smart speak. So yeah, good stuff.
No, it was. But here's the thing: if you're a Georgia fan, and we blew that game for so many years under Rick, and that's the difference, and that's the reason Georgia fans are just in love with this guy. He didn't shy away from making this game personal, whereas I don't know how many years Rick came out and said, and usually it was after we lost to them, and would say, well, it's just one loss, it's just one game on our schedule. No, it's not. No, it is not. That's a game you have to win. That's what you circle in the summer, fall camp, whatever. And to hear this guy addressing it and to hear him make it personal is what we were missing all those years under that coach who apparently sipped NyQuil smoothies before each game. I hate to say that. I know you have some kind of a weird man crush on Mark Richt, but that attitude is why Georgia fans are so enamored with Kirby Smart. Obviously, the winning helps too, but
yeah.
You think that's a valid point, or are you going to shoot that one down?
I'm allowing you to just spew what you have there, sir. And and you're right. I like Mark Richt, but he didn't coach my team, so I can't make any assessments on that side. But as far as the person goes, we need a lot more Mark Richts in this world. But NyQuil smoothies, holy moly, that is over the top, my friend.
We'd be in the middle of the game with a huge rival, and the guy looked like he was going to sleep on the sidelines. But anyway, I digress. Hey, 43-18, Rob.
Have a great day, sir. Let's get back out to the phones. One more call before we go to a break. Well, welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Big Barney Ross here. I've got a Kentucky Wildcat prediction.
Oh, wow. Are we talking basketball? Are you guys going to win a game and get over 500? What's the deal?
No, I think Mark the Bald Eagle Stoops is going to fly into Kroger Field. He's going to use his patented prevent defense in the first half, and we're going to score 35 points, and they're going to have 3. In the second half, he's going to use what is known as a prevent offense. That's right, prevent offense, where he will get the ball on the 40, drive to their 40, get penalized back to our 40, drive to their 35, penalized back to our 25. And do that for the second half and just run the clock out. Now, Lane Kiffin wishes he had a prevent offense like Kentucky does. And with this combination, this is chess, my friend. This is chess. And Mark Stoops is a grand chess master. Kentucky 35, New Mexico State 17. Think about it. Big Barney Ross, I'm out of here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Lane Kiffin doesn't have to do that because his offense can get in the end zone. It's a novelty, right? Yeah. What a mess. That's all I can say about the Kentucky team. They're probably going to finish second in the East, though. What they need to be worried about is they're not going to be invited to the SEC cookouts if they drop a game to Louisville. From the ACC, you lost to Louisville? Wait, what? Yeah, you guys don't get to come to the pig picking that they have at the end of the season for the SEC schools. They're going to tell you guys to straight up go to hell. That's pretty much where they're going to go. That doesn't fit the SEC narrative. Can't have that. Be careful, Kentucky. If you're going to score 35 points, maybe you should siphon some of those off to pump into that Louisville game. Just saying. 803-978 1832 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the rundown. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at some coaching stuff that's out there. We'll have that for you in a moment. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Uh-oh. No, one of my sales reps was outside. I didn't know if he needed me for something. I posted a picture of the bookcase account of accountability on my Twitter page there, Jay. If it did have porn on it, you would have stolen it by now. I agree with you that on that there jet mech. They need to get rid of their everything down there at Florida.
They say good things come to those who wait. The 2021 Mercedes-Benz SUV family proves otherwise. It takes no time at all to set up a test drive at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer. Learn more at mbusa.com.
Well, welcome back to the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Thanks for checking out the show today. We appreciate it. Here's the thing, man. We're going to talk about some coaching stuff. And there are already jobs out there that are open. There are big Power 5 jobs that are open. We can start with LSU. Of course, Southern Cal's in the mix. And Virginia Tech in the ACC. Florida is going to need a new coach in the SEC. Because I tell you what, if there is I've checked out some of the message boards and just tried to get a general idea of how the fan base feels about Dan Mullen. The athletic director down there, I'm sure that he's doing that too. And if they bring Dan Mullen back for another season, it's going to be Laugh City. Because I think he's lost that team. So in my mind, Florida is an open job. They're just letting him finish out the season. It's probably going to get a lot worse when they go up to Mizzou this weekend, and I think they're going to lose to Mizzou. Yep, and then I think they lose to Florida State. They may not win another game this season. And that may sound far-fetched, but if you've been watching, I think he's completely lost that locker room. Even though they were dancing like idiots when they scored 70 points against that mighty, mighty great team from Samford. Yeah. What a mess. All right, anyway, couple coaching notes. I think Mullen's going to get fired, but that's a job that's going to open up. Also, Mac Brown squashed a retirement rumor. Apparently, his quote that he told Andy Staples from The Athletic, I was told by a friend of mine that a prominent agent has been telling people that I'm not going to be here next year in hopes that would affect recruiting because we're recruiting so well. Look, I've got a lot of respect for Coach Brown. I think that he's outstanding. The interactions that we've had with him at ACC kickoff, and he seems like he's just a great guy. But here's the thing. Other coaches are saying the same thing. You think that insert, I don't know, Shane Beamer, Dabo Sweeney, pick your favorite coach. You think they're not going to these kids that are saying, you know what, I'm considering North Carolina. You think they're not looking at them and saying, Mac Brown is 70 years old. The average life expectancy for an American male is 75. You think he's going to spend the last 5 years of what may be his existence coaching at North Carolina? No. I don't think that's going to work. So him coming out and saying that, it's kind of like, oh, okay, coach. Opposing coaches are already using that, and that's happening. Megan says, Rob, I agree. The more he listens, the smarter he gets. He needs like a 10-pound lead hat to hold his head down, but he's starting to get it, folks. He says, I don't think the fans will allow it, and the AD may be ousted as well. You're probably right when we're talking about Florida. So there's that. LSU's coaching search. According to Tom Luganbill, he says there's something going on at Oklahoma right now. I would not be surprised one bit if the next LSU coach is Lincoln Riley. When you're not at your Monday press conference coming off of a bye week, and then all of a sudden nobody's talking, there's no information coming out of the building, your team was clearly not prepared. They were not focused. And if you watch that game, Baylor physically beat them up. They hit harder. They tackled harder. They beat them up front, and that area is concerning. So Luganbill thinks it's going to go to Lincoln Riley at LSU. Southern Cal, an update on what they think is going to happen there. Dave Arenado, of course, picked up the win over Oklahoma this weekend. And his stock has basically gone up. He's been mentioned as a candidate at Southern Cal to replace Clay Helton. And that's from Bruce Feldman at The Athletic. Quote, when USC fired Clay Helton, Dave Arenado had a record of 4-7. In the 2 months since, he's led Baylor to an 8-2 record, and now his coaching stock is soaring. 3 weeks ago, Arenado responded to being mentioned for possible openings, saying, quote, I love it here. My family loves it here. Baylor's been everything that I've thought it would be. Coming here has been an opportunity to grow. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Dave Arenado, because he basically took the canned answer and threw it out there. Shane Beamer did the same thing yesterday. Just saying. I don't think Shane Beamer is going to leave South Carolina. I don't. But I think if he were going to leave, it would be for Virginia Tech. That'd probably be the only job that could possibly, even though he says South Carolina is his dream job. I don't know, if I'm Virginia Tech and I can offer him $5.5 million, which is double what he makes here, that's a lot of money. We'll see. We'll see how that works. Oh, Arenado. Sorry. They're busting me over there on it. Must be dyslexic. Yeah, I probably am. Because my buddy Carolina Jackpot is busting me up online. He's supposed to be my friend. I would never hurt his feelings like that. 803-978-1832. Now, the other thing that I'm going to tell you about all these coaching things. Yes, I butchered his name. Sorry. My fault. What I am going to tell you is, with all these coaching rumors that are coming out, none of these people know anything. None of them do. And a lot of what the coaches say, it's just coach speak. I think that the athletic director at LSU wants to make a splash hire. I kind of believe that. But the idea that he's going to go and get Lincoln Riley, okay. What was it? 2 days ago, it was Jimbo Fisher. We'll see how that works out. Either way, a lot of these guys, they'll put these things out there. They really don't know. They really, really don't know. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. One other thing with Mac Brown. Yeah, he's done a lot at North Carolina, but in some ways, with his age, don't you feel he's kind of almost holding the team hostage? What I mean by that is that all the questions are going to be about, is he going to retire? When's he going to hang them up? You know, Coach Spurrier kind of had that here a little bit. But I think that once you reach a certain age, it can kind of hinder you a little bit, especially on the recruiting trail. Even though North Carolina's recruiting class is the best in the ACC. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. I don't know which way they're going to go at LSU. I don't know which way they're going to go at Southern Cal or Virginia Tech. It's a ripple effect, though, because if they pull a big name from somewhere else, somebody else has got to take the job where they are. So Mel Tucker's a name at Michigan State. If he moves on, who's going to coach Michigan State? Let's go out to the phones. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Rob a question about the playoffs
Sure.
with the SEC champ game.
Sure. Go ahead, buddy.
All right, thank you.
Okay, that's all you got? All right, well, I thought he had a question. Apparently not. Anyway, 803-978-1832. That's the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the rundown. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have some more for you. What does the BCS look like? Oh, yeah, Aaron says I forgot about Washington. My bad, Aaron. We'll take calls when we come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Holiday tradition returns. Trans-Siberian Orchestra live in concert. December 8th at Colonial Life Arena, Columbia. Reserve seats on sale now at livenation.com. Millions of fans have witnessed this one-of-a-kind audio-visual concert. Trans-Siberian Orchestra's Christmas Eve and Other Stories. Live at Colonial Arena, Columbia. December 8th. A holiday experience for the entire family.
He called back and apologized.
Hi, it's Gary David. Are you ready to take a shot at finding a new career? FN America, a growing world-class design and manufacturer of the world's most innovative and quality firearms, is looking for you. At FN, you'll be part of a passionate team that takes pride in knowing they're doing their part to save lives and protect our freedom. FN offers outstanding benefits, including an on-site health and wellness center, excellent health plans, profit sharing, and 401k plan for all employees. So start carrying your future today and explore career opportunities at fnamerica.com/careers.
Welcome back to the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeart Radio app. My name is Rob Sanders. You can join the program at 803-978-1832. Bobby just called and said that Miami has fired their athletic director, which means that that may be something in them in the mix there. Let's see how that goes. Hold on, let's go back out to the phones. Welcome into the program. Good afternoon.
Hello, Rob. It's Bobby and Casey.
Hey, Bobby, I was just saying that Miami fired their athletic director. Which way do you think they're going to go? Are they going to keep Diaz or are they going to go somewhere else for a coach?
Well, they got to bring an athletic director that can work with their czar, Ed Reed. And it might be Gino Toretta, 2 former players, or Alonzo Heisman.
What does Gino Toretta, turn your radio down, what does Gino Toretta bring to Miami?
He's part of the past that can get the Golden Hurricane Club calm down and tell them to have some equity and patience.
Yeah, well.
The thing is, they don't have one good old boy, like I said, Alabama, with all the money trying to control things. They just got the Golden Hurricane Club, the fans, that around the program that just never has really allowed since probably Larry Coker won that last national championship with the leftovers of Butch Davis. I mean, there's just not enough patience. A big city does not allow enough patience. But way out in Norman, Oklahoma, I mean, it's just people are different out there, and everybody's just impatient. They don't allow you to have time. So I mean, it is what it is, you know. And it's going to help by expanding the college football playoff, because it's kind of like Major League Baseball, where 4 teams only make the playoffs. Now it's like, 5 per league? So by having a larger playoff, you might be in the playoff more every few years, and there'll be less heat. But then as money's going to be bigger, there could be more pressure then too, along with the more money, because there'll be an NFL-type playoff, like a 12-team system.
Yeah.
But Miami's just going to take patience. The people that run the show are going to have to get together and agree on who the next coach is. But it's very difficult. I mean, there'll be names popping up. So it's got to be someone with a history to be the head coach that can work with the administration.
All right, Bobby.
Former players.
Yeah.
Former players that'll let them have their way, let the coach have their way a little bit, but respect the fact that we can control you. Don't come in with a big head, a big ego. We'll fire you. And that's what it's been since Coker's been gone. So have a great day.
Thanks, Bobby. Appreciate it. Yeah, we'll see what Miami does. And apparently, Allen says they fired him 24 hours ago. I didn't see that. So, yeah, you're probably right. Anyway, I don't know what they're going to do at Miami. I don't know if they've given Diaz enough time. I don't know. When it comes to some coaching things, a lot of stuff you don't really see behind the scenes. And, some of the coaching stuff makes sense and some of it doesn't. But we're going to have a busy month here in December and, of course, January, figuring out which coach is going to go where. So, yeah, I mean, there's already, one job open in the ACC, one in the SEC. I think Mullen makes it 2. Then, of course, you've got the job out at Washington that I forgot to mention earlier, and Southern Cal. All those Power 5 teams looking for somebody to come and lead their program. I don't think that Miami is a job that anybody wants. I mean, you show them the stuff when they were the U, and it's all in like what? It's like it looks like the Zapruder film. I mean, it's that old looking now. Nobody thinks of Miami as like, hey, I want to go there and work. That's where I want to go and bring back the U. I don't think that's going to work. But I do think that people would like to go to LSU. I think that Southern Cal is a West Coast type job. Maybe people want to go out there. We'll have to see how that works out. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. I like to look at the BCS, because how the BCS stacks up against bcsknowhow.com is what I use. Follow them on Twitter, by the way. But the way that the BCS would shake out, if we had the BCS side by side going against what the CFP committee is coming out with, the simulated BCS would have Georgia at 1, Alabama at 2, Cincinnati at 3, Ohio State at 4. Now here's the kicker. Notre Dame is 5. Michigan would be 6. Oregon 7. Oklahoma State 8. Michigan State 9. And then Oklahoma at 10. So the head-to-head wouldn't mean much with Michigan State getting the win over Michigan. So, yeah, there's that. And as you look at the rest of the standings. They have Penn State at 25, Utah at 24, Arkansas at 22. UTSA would not be in the mix, even though they're ranked by the playoff committee. Baylor is at number 12 in the simulated BCS. They're 11 in the CFP, so no real change there for the Bears. Randall says Lane Kiffin would crawl on his hands and knees to Baton Rouge to be the LSU coach. Okay. Let's see how that works. I don't know how that works out. I think that he may want to stay at Ole Miss. Not that LSU's not a good job, but I think he's kind of building Ole Miss into something that is going to be good. We'll have to see how that works out. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on The Rundown. Here on Fox Sports Radio 1400, of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Podcasts will be up for the show at about 5 o'clock today. Of course, South Carolina is at home. They welcome in Auburn this weekend. They opened up as a 10-point dog at home to Auburn, who's coming in with a backup quarterback. And it makes you wonder a little bit about South Carolina. Are they what we thought they were after the Florida game, or maybe Florida's just that bad? I don't know. We shall see. We shall see about that. They need one more win to be bowl eligible. Clemson, by the way, is trying to keep their ACC Atlantic hopes alive as they welcome in Wake Forest. Wake Forest does not have a conference loss on the season. So Clemson needs to beat Wake Forest this weekend, and then they need Wake Forest to lose to Boston College the following weekend. And then, of course, they need NC State to drop another game, too. NC State does have North Carolina on the road to wrap up the season. I don't think that all of that coming together would be interesting for Clemson. We'll know a lot more after Saturday. But Clemson will be playing, as my watch goes off here, Clemson will be playing in the rivalry game. They'll probably know going into the South Carolina game. I got to check the schedule on that, but what happened with NC State? Did they lose to Boston College? They have Djokovic back. So, yeah, we'll see. Can Boston College spoil it for NC State? I believe that game is on the road at Boston College. So, for the folks that said, hey, Clemson doesn't have a chance, that's what's got to happen. I think it's going to be tough to beat Wake this weekend. More and more you look at Wake, but it seems like Brent Venables has kind of figured out that Wake offense, which is it's just different than what you would normally see. He had the same thing with Georgia Tech where he just figured out how to stop them. Almost like they have like a gimmick type offense, and he just figured out both ways to stop both of those teams. So still an interesting matchup. We'll have to see how that works out for the Tigers as they play at high noon on Saturday up at Death Valley. It is senior day for Clemson. All right, don't forget, Lawton Swan of Clemson Sports Talk is next. Follow him on Twitter at Clemson Sports.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
He will be happy to interact with you there. You can also check out his program, Clemson Sports Talk, right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. I will be back at it tomorrow with all kinds of good football content right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. You guys don't fight over there now. We'll talk to you guys later on, man. Thanks a lot.